For the first time in history, a former president of the United States has been charged with a crime. In a Manhattan court, 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, pleaded not guilty to 34 felony charges. A man who needs no introduction, Mr. Trump has been accused
of falsifying business records in the first degree. That is a scheme to buy and suppress negative information to help Mr. Trump's chance of winning the election.
On Monday, Mr. Trump traveled from his estate in Florida's Mar-a-Lago here to New York, to Trump Tower, where he hunkered down ahead of his arraignment. Outside, on Fifth Avenue, his supporters rallied, armed with some rather interesting arguments.
There was no insurrection.
Were you at the Capitol?
Of course I was there.
So was I.
Yeah, but there was no insurrection.
I was there too.
So you were there. So you saw the officers opening up the gate and saying go.
No,
I saw
them getting beaten up.
People do NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, all the time.
I've never had one of you.
No. I mean, I've never had one either.
Is this a sign that democracy is working, or is it a sign that it's failing, do you think?
This has been in the works for like 7 years, that it seems to be kind of suspicious that President Trump, November 15th, he announces that he's running for election again, and all of a sudden this comes up.
But not everyone is happy Mr. Trump is back in town.
I've come down today to welcome Donald Trump back to New York, where hopefully he's going to be indicted, convicted, and imprisoned for his crimes and his misdeeds.
Journalists queued overnight to get a spot in the courtroom where Mr. Trump was arraigned. By morning, protesters had arrived too. There is due to be a protest in support of Mr. Trump starting shortly. As you can see, if you look around the park, there are far more journalists at the moment than there are Donald Trump supporters. Over the other side of the park, there is a small collection of anti-Trump protesters, and they're kind of facing off in the middle. But it's a historic day here in New York, even for a city that is prone to media spectacles. This is something different. I'm not on here. I'm from the Independent. I'm not on any one of these. Can I talk to you for a second? I just want to ask why you came down today, why it's important for you to be here.
President, because this is all witch hunt. It's why would a billionaire try to cover up something? And he didn't do that. Why would he risk everything? That man is fighting for this country. He's putting his family through hell. For what?
It's an election year. His popularity has soared. It never really went down at all. All right. They tried to divide us. It didn't work. All right. They tried to divide the MAGA movement. It did not work. Americans know the truth.
Have you spoken to any of these guys over the other side today?
That's a madhouse. I'm not here for all that. I'm not here for that. America's already divided. I don't need to show evidence that we all lunatics. You know what I'm saying? Some people be sane. But I think I'm here for justice, to be honest. I'm not for revenge or battling what party is better than the other party. I'm here because no man is above the law.
Some of Mr. Trump's political allies made an appearance, but they didn't stay there. While New York Congressman Jamal Bowman condemned the rhetoric of Republicans in Washington.
I'm just here to push back against anything that represents hate in New York City, anything that represents white supremacy in New York City, and the lies and the rhetoric and the divisiveness that Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and so many others have represented since they've been in public life.
Around 2 p.m., Mr. Trump, surrounded by security, entered the court by a side entrance. Inside, a person who was once the most powerful man on the planet now had to be quiet until he was spoken to. In a modest New York courtroom, the former president pleaded not guilty. He will likely face trial next year. After traveling straight back to Florida, Mr. Trump vowed to
fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
But even if the former president is convicted, it wouldn't disqualify him from running for president again. Despite his violent exit from the White House in 2021, Donald Trump has vowed to run again in 2024.
Candidacy for President of the United States.
Even if by then he is a convicted criminal. His campaign claims they have now raked in more than $10 million in donations since the indictment. And new polling shows him widening his lead over chief GOP primary rival Ron DeSantis. But the question remains, although all of this may help him win a primary, could it hurt him in a general election? Is this just the start of a cascade of criminal charges that will ultimately destroy his candidacy?